to the Scouting Room Podcast with Dame and Dan. If you love NFL football, college football, and the NFL Draft, this podcast is for you. Touchdown! Dame and Dan will provide real analysis featuring analytics and film to back up their takes. Please sit down, grab your drink, and let's scout.
Welcome back to the Scouting Room NFL Podcast with Dame and Dan. I'm Dame. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report and the host of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. That's my guy, Dan. He is also an NFL draft analyst with me over at Bleacher Report, but as well as he covers the Kansas City Chiefs on RGR Football as an NFL and NFL draft analyst. And guys, thank you guys for tapping in with us and rocking with us as always. We have some fun defensive storylines across the league that we want to talk about and break down today on today's episode, starting with TJ Watt securing the bag. We're going to react to his new big contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers and what that means for their defense. Can the Detroit Lions gain some momentum, getting healthy again, right? We know that they dealt with injuries last year. They get Aiden Hutchinson back. They drafted Tyleik Williams. Is that enough for them to take a leap defensively and be a better defense in 2025? And out west, the 49ers are always in the mix, but will their defense become one of the league's best in 2025 and help out the newly paid Brock Purdy? All of that and more right now. Let's get into it. TJ Watt signed a big-time deal, Dan. Big deal. 3-year extension. TJ Watt, $123 million, $108 million fully guaranteed at signing, 41 per. He tops Jamar Chase, who comes in, I believe, $4.25 million. And then, of course, his both of these guys are in the AFC North. Myles Garrett, who got $40 million after, basically making us think that he was going to demand a trade out of Cleveland, right? He got paid. TJ Watt, let's react. Let's talk about it. How do you feel about the fact, again, he'll be 31 in October, 3-year deal, $108 million guaranteed at signing, 123 overall. How do you feel about TJ Watt getting this bag, man?
I know it's the way the NFL works, right? When Myles Garrett gets paid, when these big name players get paid, everyone's like, yeah, I want that too. I think the Steelers probably should have been doing this a bit earlier, not waiting for the bags to drop around the NFL, because while I think TJ Watt's still one of the top 2-3 pass rushers and defensive ends in the NFL, we also understand that in 4 years, when he's 35 years old, what's he going to look like?
Right.
Like when you're paying young guys like that are 26, 25 years old, and we're talking about what are they going to look like when they're 29? Ideally, they're going to look way better than they look right now. But is there a real world where TJ Watt's going to be playing better football in 4 years or even 2 years than he's playing right now? Probably not. We also have kind of seen over the last couple of seasons the nicks, the bruises, the injuries start to come up and affect his game. I think that this past year he dealt with a couple injuries. He did come back and was better near the end of the season when the Steelers needed him. But overall, those are going to pile up. They're going to compound. And as you get older, we see it across the league, across time. Father Time is undefeated, and that's not necessarily when you're going to retire. It's how your body ends up breaking down, how it can continue to recover from these injuries. So I am not besmirching the name of TJ Watt. He's a fantastic player. He has earned the money to this point. But we have to remember we're projecting. All contracts are projections. This one is a bad projection on the Steelers. There is no chance that he will be earning the money he's being given at the end of this contract. I'm going to say even by year 3 of this contract that he's being paid.
Yeah, if you're expecting, because I think that's one, to your point, that's a misnomer, something that isn't talked about a lot with contracts. With running backs, it was, okay, well, Zeke did everything during his rookie contract. He was an elite running back, one of the best, if not the best in the league, but we can't pay him for what he did. We got to pay him for what he could become. Well, if you're using 17 and a half sacks 2 years ago and all, the defensive player of the years that he's won in terms of, well, actually 2023, TJ Watt had 19 sacks. I'm sorry. He had 19 in 2023. He had 22 and a half in 2021. He had 15 in 2020, 14 and a half in 2019. And back in 2018, he had 13, right? Like 2022, he had 5.5, but he only played 10 games. And he's coming off a season where he had 11 and a half sacks with his pressure percentage being less than 10%. He was at 9.3% pressure percentage last year. Yeah. I'm not expecting, Dan, I don't think either one of us anybody should be expecting 19 sacks. Like, maybe combined over the next 3 years. Yeah. Like, we should not be expecting him to hit. If he hits it this year, okay, good. He's, like, still in that relative, like, back end of the prime. 32 and 33, absolutely not. Like, I don't expect him to hit that because here's the thing. I always go back to basketball. What happened when we saw MJ and Kobe and D Wade, those really explosive guards, when their athleticism went down, they became more technical guys, right? Post up, things like that, but they were still strong. They were still physical. They still had the nuance to finish. TJ Watt's going to have the nuance, right? The still hand usage, the knowledge of how to deconstruct and attack guys. But when that first step quickness is a first step slower, or is a step or two slower, when you don't have that burst and acceleration to threaten the outside, now guys get to sit on the right hand and they get to prepare for speed to power. They get to prepare for the hand, the Karate Kid hand usage and all this stuff like that. They get to prepare for that, right? They get to prepare for your martial arts ability as a pass rusher. And then you become less effective because he's not like... It's different for like a Myles Garrett because Myles Garrett is like 275 and he looks like a superhero, right? Like he could have been casted for Superman if he wasn't African American. So like, you know, he's built like a Greek god. So you think about, okay, when his first step goes away, guess what he's still going to have? The long arms, the power, the strength to uproot guys and to move bodies. TJ Watt doesn't have that specifically. So paying him, I think I understand it, but I'm not here to give out lifetime achievement awards. If you're projecting that he's going to have 15, 18, 19 sacks each year for the next 2 or 3 years, hey, more power to you. I don't foresee that being the case.
Yeah, I don't either, but I think to give a little bit of context to last year's struggles, right? The Steelers had actually one of the better run defenses in the NFL. But for everything they did well in the run defense, they were 8th in stack box percentage, 23.5% of the time, which tells me with a defense that isn't very good at defending the pass, which the Steelers weren't, I believe they were 25th in total defense against the pass last year, that they were struggling to stop the run with their front four, just their front four. So linebackers coming in, you might have safeties into the box, and then that leaves guys open downfield. So when we look at what they did with the defensive side of the draft, right? They bring in Derek Harmon, who, in my opinion, is a very good run defense now guy who has to be a better pass rusher, getting better as a pass rusher. They also drafted Yaya Black in the 5th round and a run defensive tackle only. He is only going to give you that. They also drafted Jack Sawyer, who is not a pass rushing specialist by any stretch, but he's a very smart, a cerebral run defending football player. What does this tell you about what the Steelers want to do? They don't want Patrick Queen inside the A-gap on a rundown. They want Patrick Queen out rolling in space. They traded for Jalen Ramsey, which tells you they want everyone to be able to kind of play on their island at times. Yeah. So they want to be able to stop the run with 4 and then everyone playing reactionary football, which will get offenses to throw the football. But if they're better against the pass, then TJ Watt will have more success against that and be able to get more. So my little tinfoil hat theory is that, yes, last year the injuries did hurt him, but overall, the construction of the defense did not allow for him to be a truly successful pass rusher. And this season, just by the looks of what they've done, should allow him to do that, at least for the next couple of seasons, that he has that athleticism still at his forefront.
Absolutely. And I think, and I don't want this to be mistaken, guys. I still think he's going to get 10, 11, 12 sacks even this year, right? Sure. I still think he's going to still be a double-digit sack guy. I just think that we're not going to see 17, 18, 19 sacks. You might get 15 this year. But I think that after this year, after he turns 31, we get into 2026 and we kick off the 2026 NFL season, I expect that there to be a drop off in his production. Because physically, there's going to be a drop off, guys. So that's it. That's all. But shout out to T.J. Watt securing the bag. Love the Watt family. He's going to be a Hall of Famer just like his brother.
Go get your money.
Yeah, go get your bread. Listen. One thing I'm not going to ever do is blame a player for getting paid. Get your money, big fella. What was that was the HBCU coach was like, I got one thing to say. Tell them, bring me my money. Like, I'm all for players getting their money, man. So I'm all for it, guys. But let's transition to the Detroit Lions. And we're talking defense. And this is a defense, Dan, they were ravaged by injuries last year. And it felt like, I can't remember if anybody major got hurt before Aiden, but once Aiden got hurt, oh my God, the bottom just fell out. Because it went from Aiden to, felt like the other members of the defensive line to corners, rookie corners. Ennis Rakestraw got hurt last year, right? You lost safeties. You lost to the point where, and not to discredit, but we gave so much love in our NFC East quarterback rankings. If you haven't checked it out, go check the archives. Go tap into that. To Jaden Daniels and that playoff performance against Jared Goff and the Lions defense. Well, the Lions defense also wasn't at full strength, right? No Aiden Hutchinson. A lot of guys were missing, things like that. Now that they're back, Aiden Hutchinson coming back healthy, being 100%. This is one of the best defensive players in the league. One of the best defensive players in the league. And you talking about just a pure, just pass rush prowess. Well, he was drafted with 2022 season, 2022 NFL draft. Yes, second pick in the 2022 NFL draft. He came into the league then 9.5 sacks, 52 pressures. Right? Yeah. first year, 9.5 sacks. Then in 2023, 11.5 sacks. He took a step forward, 83 pressures, and really stamping himself as one of the best in the league, right? And not only that, NFL Pro has this thing called quick pressures under 3 seconds. He had 25 of those in 2023, right? His get off is always around 0.8. Right? Always around in between 0.8 to 0.9. He gets off the ball quickly. And even last year, understand something, guys. He played 5 games. So when you hear these numbers, just take it for what it is. 5 games, 7.5 sacks. His sack percentage was 4.2%, highest of his career. 30 pressures. His pressure percentage was around 17%. That's in 5 games. Dear God, what it would have looked like with Aiden Hutchinson for a full 17. Like, you know what I mean? So I look at this from this aspect, right? Like he probably would have broke the record if the pace he was on, he probably would have broke the sack record. You know what I mean? And so him coming back, they drafted Tyleik Williams. But one of the talking points all draft season, Dan, and we all talked about, man, they're at the back end of the first round. One of these pass rushers fall to him. They're going to make the move. Mike Green fell. We know Mike Green had the off the field stuff from from early in his college career, things like that. I think either late high school, whatever it was, and teams took him off their board, right? We saw multiple pass rushers slip right past them. They decided not to add a guy. They went with Tyleik Williams. What is your heading into training camp? What do you need to see from this defense, and what's your outlook for them in 2025?
Man, it's tough because if you look at lots of defensive statistics, from their offenses playing against them, it didn't matter. Run, pass, it was lights up. It didn't matter. And again, unless the injury, you can't help the injuries to Alim McNeil, to Malcolm Rodriguez, who honestly, to Aiden Hutchinson, to Marcus Davenport. Literally, if you guys have watched quarterback, you know that Dan Campbell talks about the injuries. There's the second season of quarterback with Jared Goff, where he's talking about the injuries. We have like guys that we just brought up off the bench, off the couch, that are starting for our defense this year. Like it's tough. So first and foremost, we got to get these injured guys, Alim McNeil, Malcolm Rodriguez, Mekhi Wingo, a rookie, off the PUP list. The PUP list is the first and foremost thing. You've got multiple guys now that are starting on the PUP list. We know at least for Aiden Hutchinson, he's going to be starting the camp healthy. The same with Marcus Davenport to this point, which again is huge for the defensive ends. Now, if I'm looking at this run defense last year, if I were to ask you the most percentage of runs against the Lions defense, where would you think they would have gone?
So they were out. They lost McNeil and they lost Aiden. That's tough. I would say the middle.
Exactly. Everybody would say that most of the runs come from the middle. They were third in the NFL in runs that attack the outside percent. So 56.6%.
I knew it was a setup. I knew it was a setup.
But if you look at the structure of the linebackers aren't good. They're not good at identifying where the run is going. At least if it's coming right at them, they're like, okay, well, I see it's coming this way, but they can't misdirection, things like that. So I think Jack Campbell did a good job of getting better as a pass defender last year. He is still not a well-developed linebacker. And honestly, Malcolm Rodriguez is probably their best complete linebacker, which is a tough thing to say. Obviously, Alex Anzalone in that defense was fantastic all over the place. Did a really great job for Aaron Glenn last year. But we need to see what they're going to do. This is going to be a new defensive staff. It's going to be a new offensive staff. So on the defensive side, the secondary is young. It's physical. It's youthful. It's good. They brought in DJ Reed from the Jets to help what's going to happen with the secondary. But for me, I need to see this defensive line take aim. Honestly, it comes down to they were also inside the top 5 in terms of stacked box percentage because they couldn't stop the run. You need to show me you can stop the run. DJ Reader obviously is here. Aleem McNeil, who, like you said, was their first-round pick. I love, not Aleem McNeil, Tyleik Williams. Tyleik Williams was the first-round pick last year. I love Tyleik Williams. But he's still not a pass rusher. He's really not. And you did not draft a defensive end to help Aiden Hutchinson out. You are counting on Marcus Davenport.
I'm glad you brought that up. I have I have the screenshot. PFF's projected nickel personnel packages for the Detroit Lions has Marcus Davenport as the edge opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. What I didn't like about this defense and I love their GM. Their GM is outstanding. Talking about what team build, I love them. But I felt like coming into the 2025 NFL draft, after what you just watched with the defense, losing Aiden Hutchinson, because once you lost him, they made the trade for Zadarius Smith, who they ended up cutting this year, by the way, like this offseason. I don't think they brought him back, but they cut him. So you really put your pass rush into the bucket of it's Aiden Hutchinson or bust. That's not a good situation, man. Like, you think about all the attention Aiden Hutchinson gets. If you paired, I understand that teams took him off the board. You pair a Mike Green with an Aiden Hutchinson off the edge, or like I have to go back. I have to pull up the draft class and see who was drafted after Tyleik Williams were in round 1. What other edge rushers? Oh, Nick Scourton. Princely Human Meelan, out of Florida. Like, there were different guys. There were pass rushers available that had first-round caliber talent that could have come in as impact players right now and would have been a great Robin to Aiden Hutchinson's Batman. But the Lions just decided not to do that. So what you're putting a lot of onus on is, number one, Aiden coming off that gruesome leg injury, right? That he has to carry your pass rush yet again, unless Marcus Davenport gives you 10 sacks or something like that. And you're putting a lot of onus on the secondary, right? Because you brought you talk about DJ Reed. I think it's who they brought in from the Jets at the corner spot. But we talk about Terrion Arnold and his struggles last year. Ennis Rakestraw was hurt last year, right? You're going to get those guys healthy, but now you got to hope, okay, number one, Ennis Rakestraw, are you ready to play? This is your rookie season, essentially. And then Terrion Arnold, can you take that step forward as a corner? Because if your secondary starts to have leaks in it, right? Yeah. The pipe might just burst. And then now your defense is not being able to play complementary football for an offense that the offense themselves are now may go through a little bit of a, I guess, facial reconstruction, or an identity change. Ben Johnson, the guy who's been the catalyst of play calling, play creativity, players win games. But having the right man with the play sheet and as the designer of it changes everything for a team on offense and defense. So Without him, what does his offense look like? It's a lot of question marks to me a little bit when it comes down to the Detroit Lions. Team is still talented, should be one of the best in the NFC. But again, if the defense doesn't play well enough, it puts way more pressure and onus on the offense, who have to find themselves from a play calling standpoint. You got a new OC. Is he going to call this? You can't be Ben Johnson, so don't try it, right? Don't try to be Ben Johnson. Be yourself. But will your plays connect with the players? You know what I mean? I always go back to when Cliff Kingsbury was there that last year or so in Arizona. I remember, not even the last year. I just remember you could tell Kyler Murray didn't respect his play calling decisions.
Yeah,
you could see him get the call through the headpiece and through his helmet, and he's just like, and you will see the eye roll, oh God, and it's just like, and then he gets to the line of scrimmage and he would change stuff because it was like, no, this doesn't work for this defense. Change it. Next thing you know, touchdown. He makes a big play. Will this offense? It's a lot of question marks in Detroit for me.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. But I think that this defense, specifically the secondary, has a chance to be not even just like average. I think it has the ability to be an above average to a very good unit in the NFL, led by Kirby Joseph
talent
and Bryce Grant. Yeah, it's all there. It's got a hit, though. When we saw Terry and Arnold last year, it was this is fast. It's all fast for me. I'm holding. I'm not in the best position. We talked about Terry and Arnold earlier. If you guys are interested about his specific details in what we think he can do this next year going forward, you can go listen to that show in the archives as well. But I think a schematic shift needs to happen for the Detroit Lions, specifically play more zone. Yeah. Play more zone. Don't allow. One thing Aaron Glenn wanted to do is play man coverage. He also had to. He didn't have a choice last year because of the injuries. Forces you have to make more simplistic decisions. And playing pure man coverage is simpler than playing zone or man match or zone match, things like that. So from a pure, I think, schematic change, we need to see on the defensive side playing more zone. It should help Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch as well because they're so cerebral that that's why Kirby Joseph was getting the football all over the place last year. And the reason their defense was keeping him in games because he had like 12 interceptions, something crazy like that. It was insane. You're not going to get turnover luck every year, guys. Now it has to be the trust in the defense scheme, and more zone coverage will allow the players that you have the ability to not only get better, but to use their talents to the most efficient. And I think that's going to be what it is for this defense. So outside of this concerns I have with the defense, the secondary, I think, has a chance to be very good this year. If defense in the scheme allows them to do so.
100%, man. You're talking about a defense and secondary that the fans are hoping takes that step forward and being even better in 2025. It is the San Francisco 49ers. And let's close this show out. Robert Saleh comes back home. He was a defensive coordinator for a while before taking the New York Jets job, a job that some people may say is cursed. You know what I mean? Over in the Big Apple. Shout out to Aaron Glenn, man. Aaron Glenn, I really believe he's going to be able to turn that situation around. He's one of those, comes out from one of those coaches that's in college, you call them program changers, right? And program builders. He comes off as one of those guys in the NFL. But Robert Saleh coming back home, bringing that cover 3 scheme, that front 4 aggressive, get after the quarterback scheme and philosophy and everything. They added Mykel Williams through the draft that you already know his floor was set as a defensive prospect because he was a really good run defender. He has the body type, the frame, the arm length. He was young. The upside is there as a pass rusher. Made the move to go get Bryce Huff. You're talking about on third downs, you have Nick Bosa, who's a power rusher, and then you have Bryce Huff, who's just a pure lightning bolt off the edge, the dip and everything. And then he has, which makes sense. Robert Saleh was his coach in New York. Jets, so it makes a lot of sense of why you would want to bring that guy in because he knows how to get after the quarterback and everything. And with Robert Saleh coming back in, I think this is going to help this defense a lot. Dan, I think Renardo Green, having him at outside corner and everything, their cornerback situation, I like what they have. And looking at what do you call it? I would say what PFF has them listed as right now for their nickel packages. They have Renardo Green. They have Lenore as the other outside corner, 2 young, good corners. They got Jair Brown, who's their strong safety. Free safety is a little bit up in the air. D. Winter is going to be starting opposite of Fred Warner at linebacker. And then you have Upton Stout, who we saw at the Senior Bowl, 5'9", corner, I believe out of Western Kentucky. Young man gets after it, okay? He can play. He's gritty. He's scrappy. It makes a lot of sense that they made that decision to draft him. And this is projection from PFF now. It's not we don't know until week 1. But if all thing holds true, he's their starting corner. This is a young man that plays bigger than his size. So for me, then I look at this defense and, they added with Alfred Collins, I think CJ West to the defensive tackle room. They want to stop the run. Their division is a physical division. The Cardinals, power run game with James Conner and Trey Benson and Kyler Murray, right? We know Seattle has 15 running backs that they can hand the ball off to. Like Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, they lead that charge. Okay, and we know that Kyron Williams, you got Kyron Williams, Blake Corum, and now Jarquez Hunter for the Los Angeles Rams. You're going to have to stop the run. So they got more physical in the trenches. So I think this defense, long as they do a good job, long as they handle their business on first and second downs, keep teams like keeping Kyler Murray in 3rd and 8, keeping Matthew Stafford, and dealing with what we just talked about, what Matthew Stafford's about to be throwing to this year, Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams, you better get back there and get back there quickly, or he's going to slice and dice you like a Ginsu knife. He's going to cut through your defense, man. I think this defense has the talent to really take a step forward, and I think they really pair well with what they have with what Robert Saleh is going to bring from a defensive mind standpoint. I like what they're building there.
They wasted no time in getting the guys that Robert Saleh wants.
No, not at all.
When you have already worked with a coach, you can just say, okay, GM, you don't even have to worry about watching these guys. I'm going to identify them, and you just draft them. This regime was already here. Like they've already worked together. They know exactly what they want to do. So when you see Alfred Collins and Mykel Williams back to back, and then you're like, how good were they against the run last year? Well, they weren't. They were 12th in the NFL in rushing yards over expected, with plus 203 yards. They allowed offenses to rush between the tackles, the second highest rate of inside the tackle runs at 54.6%. It was just, they couldn't stop the run. They were a sieve. They weren't physical enough in the middle of the defense. One thing we know that Alfred Collins and Mykel Williams, I know he plays defensive end, but we're talking about condensing an offensive line to allow your linebackers around and your safeties to come in. They are going to get after it. They're going to be physical. And like you said, that's what they want. But stylistically and structurally, from a run to a pass rush perspective, it makes a lot of sense because you can keep Alfred Collins out there, Mykel Williams on first, second down. And then when it is 3rd and long, hello, CJ West, you're coming off the bench, you're going to play, you're going to rush the passer. Nick Martin, you're going to be linebacker, speed guy, probably more developmental guy. But then you talked about Bryce Huff. He is, again, not going to play any run defensive downs like at all.
He shouldn't.
And because we know the style of Robert Saleh and he knows how to get the best out of him as a pass rusher, it all structurally makes sense to allow the back end to work better. So I think we're going to see an entire 180 from the San Francisco 49ers defense. It's going to go back to being a top probably 10-8 unit in the NFL just based off of what we know structurally. So the bounce back is there for them. You do have to wonder if Malik Mustafa will come back healthy. He came in out of Wake Forest last year and was already one of the best low hole defenders. He was hitting guys all over the place. He was uber physical until Patrick Mahomes put his shoulder in his chin and then dumped him into the ground. But that's neither here nor there. You hope he comes back in and he's healthy because, again, that mentality is exactly what Robert Saleh wants. And right now with Upton Stout, they brought in Trey Brown from Seattle as well to vie for that nickel spot. So one of those guys is definitely going to do it. But the hallmark of this defense is going to be getting to the pass rush. Last year, they just couldn't get to it, and no one really knew if they were going to run or if they were going to run play action because of that specifically. And that goes right into what we talked about last week with the quarterback. Being now I just had his name, Brock Purdy. He had to play more aggressive. Because offenses were scoring a ton of points against the 49ers, so he had to put up more points. And so it all makes sense They want to get back to letting Brock Purdy be his most efficient self, to be his most effective self, which goes back to what Robert Saleh was doing and getting the football back and being physical. And it makes sense, man.
It really does. And I think eliminating, like the point about Brock, taking away those moments where he has to save you, right? Yeah. Like don't put Brock Purdy in, like, you play 17 games in the regular season. Don't put him in 9 to 10 games where he has to be the savior. Let him just help push this thing along. Let him be a really important cog in a well-oiled machine. That's what you want from Brock Purdy. And granted, does that warrant paying him $40+ million? That's up to you to decide, guys. I'm not going to touch that. But the point is that this defense, and I think for me, I'm looking forward to those especially in training camp, the one-on-one battles, right? Mykel is going to be the most anticipated defensive lineman in one-on-one pass rush battles or in pass rush at the line of scrimmage for this defense, period. So, because this is a guy that has inside-out versatility. We've seen him play as the kind of 5 tech outside shoulder or on the head of the tackle, things of that nature. We've seen him play the 5 and 6 tech at Georgia. We've seen him play as a stand-up edge rusher, outside tackle, shaded outside of the tackle, as a true outside linebacker, stand-up edge. Then we also see him play some 3 and 4 eye, right? Because he has the body type and the strength and all of that stuff that allows him to do so effectively. So if you ask me, okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to him. I can't wait to see the reports of, okay, how's he doing in one-on-ones, in pass rush drills? Is he winning on the outside? Because what's going to really dictate where he plays is where is he winning more. If you're winning more on the outside, they might still play you on because especially having Bryce Huff, they're like, you know what, we can put you inside, and then you can get yourself. Remember the days of the Smith brothers, Justin and Alden Smith, when they would pair those two side by side. They wrecked shop when you had those two guys on the same side of the formation. They're lined side by side, and you're like, crap. Like, we got slide protection. Now I can get real creative and send fire zone blitzes off the opposite side because you got less numbers over here. Different things of that nature. I can send extra defenders and light you up from the weak side. But I could see a situation where Nick Bosa's at edge, and then you put Mykel Williams as that kind of 3 tech 4 eye shaded, beside him. And now you got 2 power explosive rushers on the same side of the formation. And then you got Bryce Huff one-on-one with the right tackle or left tackle, however you want to match it, the weaker matchup. And you get the one-on-one there. And you can really collapse the pocket. Then you can put big Alfred Collins as just the space eater. Like, just take 2 blocks. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just take that double team and different, because he's more of a slow burn. He's that, you could fry some stuff or you could throw it into the slow cooker. He's a slow cooker, like as a pass rusher, right? That's what Alfred Collins is. He can push the pocket. It just won't. Don't expect it to be done in a very fast manner. But he's got the power to push the pocket. So I think the 49ers are. Training camp's going to be big for them of just figuring out their rotation, their defensive line, right? It's a lot of D Winters. Like, okay, how do you handle full-time starter reps? You're going, like, again, you're the guy that, like, if anybody gets targeted in coverage as a linebacker, it's not going to be Fred Warner. It's going to be you. Are you up for that challenge where they're going to try to isolate you, get you away from Fred, get you away from the defensive line, and really pull you out there? And let's see, and that's where that zone defense comes in at, right? When you're dropping off to your spots and they got a shallow cross or a shallow sit route in front of you, just so they can throw that 10-yard dig behind you. Are you going to be able to read it and play it right? Right? Are you going to be able to complement Fred Warner? I think D Winters. Go back to, remember the TCU playoff run where they beat Michigan by the skin of their teeth. That was the first real true big game for JJ McCarthy where he was able to really air the ball out, things like that. And in that game, a reason, because I tweeted it out, I was wrong. I said, man, Michigan's run all over TCU. They're 3-3-5. They're small up front. Yeah, D Winter said, not today. He was hitting every gap possible. The run game, I think he's going to be fine. It's going to be how do you handle, or are you on the field for third downs? And if you are, how effective can you be? Robert Saleh is going to have this defense in the right, because now, hey, guess what? I don't have to be the CEO head coach. I don't have to do I have one thing to focus on. defensive scheming and game planning. And when you allow a coach to just focus on what they do, you get the best out of them, man.
Yeah, and to your point about this being training camp stuff, like Yetur Gross-Matos is on the PUP list to start. So that's going to give Mykel Williams more opportunities to show what he can do as a pass rusher. And then you also have the D. Winters and Nick Martin situation. Again, if D. Winters can't handle the pass coverage stuff, guess what? Nick Martin comes in. He's a speed guy. He can be more of a coverage player. You also might see him getting more of those roles too. So there's a lot that can change within training camp. And like I said, Upton Stout, Trey Brown. Who's going to win that job? There's a lot of these rookies in training camp, and not just, with some injuries, with them bringing in Jason Pitcock from the Giants. Is Malik Mustafa's absence going to allow him to take that over? How are we going to see how this develops? So there are so many things specifically from the defensive side that they want to change. That was clear when they spent a first, a second, a third, a fourth, another third, and a fifth round pick this past draft on the defensive side. Robert Saleh knew he had to inject this defense with not just youth, but the talent and the physicality to do so with speed and athleticism, which you get from a CJ West, a Nick Martin, and Upton Stout with the physicality as well. So there's a lot that can change within this defense, and we know that Robert Saleh is going to do a really nice job of getting those players in training camp, is where these guys are going to have that opportunity with some of these injuries to showcase what they got.
Absolutely. But guys, that is our show, talking about some of the biggest defensive storylines, from TJ Watt's contract, Aiden Hutchinson's return, the Detroit Lions defensive outlook and everything. And then talking about the San Francisco 49ers and why we believe this defense could be primed to take a big leap forward now with Robert Saleh in the defensive coordinator spot, and then also some of the new additions to this defense. They have done a great job retooling this defense. But guys, please like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Go ahead, hit the bell notification, continue to support the channel. But if you listen on the audio side, please leave a 5-star commented review. Share the podcast with a friend, to tell another friend that you have a podcast that's one of the best out there, breaking down analytics, film, all of it, guys. And as we get closer to the NFL, we're getting closer to college football. Sometime this week, I'm looking at probably dropping a Fernando Mendoza film breakdown on the channel. The quarterback that, on Twitter, DP_NFL, I asked who's the top 3 quarterbacks heading into the season for the draft. Fernando Mendoza was constantly mentioned amongst everybody's replies, and there was a ton of replies. So, guys, I got to break down. He's going from Cal to Indiana to the Big Ten. He's right now my top quarterback. And I love his game and what he brings to the table. So I want to break him down probably in the next coming days, no later than Friday of this week. So, guys, please come and join us again on the NFL Scouting Podcast with Dame and Dan. I'm Dame, and that's Dan.